All right, welcome, folks. We got another top 10 heading your way here. And to celebrate October, we were thinking, what artist spells out October? And as you can see, there's no one bigger, no one better than the master of disaster himself, Mr. Alice Cooper.
That
And
is
who's going to
correct.
help me here? None other than, as you see him, Mr. Alice Cooper himself, Chris Kiebzak.
How's it
He
going,
knows
guys?
he knows Cooper inside and out, and we're going to get a good taste and an education here about Alice Cooper. So, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce our top 10 Alice Cooper songs, beginning with our three honorable mentions first, just to get those out of the way. And we're going to build up gradually to what we feel are the best songs Alice has ever put out on wax.
Correct.
All right. So, did you want to give a little brief summary about Alice before we begin?
Sure, yeah. So just to give everyone a little quick thing on where it began for me, the catalog has no representation of certain eras for me because Alice's catalog is so diverse and so huge that discovering him at 7, 8 years old in the 90s was not only difficult, but I had to go piece by piece, and it really started with me with the trash, hey, stupid era immediately becoming my favorite. To this day, the only three albums I remember at that young was Hey Stupid, Trash, and Welcome to My Nightmare. Then, um, but right before that, my uncle gave me two records and three Kiss records and two Alice records, and Killers and Love It to Death were the two records. So those two I thought Alice was one thing because Kiss was so one-dimensional, at least in the 70s, that Alice was one thing. And then when I heard the stuff from the 90s, it just blew me back. As I dug back and through the 80s and the weird catalog and the early 70s, late 60s, it's just, to me, there's nobody better with the more diverse and lengthy catalog than the master himself, Alice Cooper.
He's definitely got a lot of albums out there as
So
we
many.
as we seen here for sure. Trying to do this list was not easy, and the more albums an artist has, the more material they have, the harder it is to really come up with those top 10 songs. I can only imagine what you went through on
Oh,
your
yeah.
end. Because I mean,
Yeah.
even for me, I'm not a big Alice Cooper fan. I just never was. I mean, I didn't hate the guy or the band or anything like that. I just never really, I think I finally came around and got Trash maybe about 5 years, right in the beginning of the pandemic, because I needed something to keep busy with. So I just would order every now and then. I'd order a batch of CDs from Amazon, trying to catch up on stuff I never got.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ones I got right off the bat. I had the box set the whole time, but that's a lot of rare gems on that one too. But
Yeah, the box set really was for the real nitty gritty fans. That's another thing I remember getting it in Florida. My grandmother bought it for me when we went to visit her in Florida when it came out in '99. And yeah, honestly, it was a little underwhelming because a lot of the stuff's demos and unreleased stuff, and most of the actual tracks I have heard. I think the only album where there was tracks from it that I didn't hear was Flush the Fashion. So that was cool to be able to hear those. But it wasn't until, maybe 20 years ago where I really dove back into that box set. And that's a great release as well. A lot of unheard stuff at the time on that thing.
all right, well, let's dig right in. You can go with all three of your honorable mentions all in one shot here.
Gotcha.
And go ahead and give us what you got as your honorable mentions.
All right, let's see here. So, um, King of the Silver Screen, it's off of Lace and Whiskey. Again, when I was doing this list, I really wanted to hit diverse points because when I go on Alice binges, I like to listen to a wide range of his material. So, that's a song and a record that I always like to put in there. Very, very all over the place, sing-songy, him pretty much comparing how he is now to the public what his favorite things were to him as a kid. So what a great song and style you normally don't hear from Alice Cooper. So and right before he was going to fall into a deep dark hole that gave us four records that were either loved or hated. So King of the Silver Screen. Right after that is Snakebite from Hey Stupid. Love that riff. That riff is what honestly probably the riff that made me want to learn how to play guitar. And yeah, he's playing it now. I thought it was going to be way higher in my list. He's playing the song now, but still haven't been able to see that tour. The only other time he played it was in '91 on the Hey Stupid tour. So Snakebite, an amazing song with some great I love that hair metal glam era of Cooper because it's really Cooperified. So it doesn't, it's based, to me, when I was listening to it back then, I'm like, oh, he's making fun of Poison and stuff. Oh, and he's doing it much better than what a lot of these guys are doing. So that was just his sort of shtick. And I think it made for some great records. And then my last honorable mention will be off the album Killers. Um, or off Killers, off the album Killer. My uncle, and my dad. It's the first one we sat down and listened to. And Halo of Flies. First time I ever seen that song was with you at the Heaven and Hell show. What a
Oh,
great long song. They drag it out way too long in the set, but gives Alice a break. But what a great epic masterpiece that just changes styles. I mean, that's when I realized, oh, this guy can change styles multiple times in a song and it works. And I am not a long song guy. We talked about this in the Maiden stuff. Not a long song guy at all, but Halo of Flies is the one that I can listen to start through finish without a problem.
okay.
And those are my three.
Sounds good. All right. So none
You
of
said
those
you,
have.
you said you wanted a history lesson, right?
Well, I figure you're definitely going to give some people a history lesson for sure.
Yeah,
All right. So my honorable mentions, songs I think a lot of people are familiar with. So I'll start off with my first one. It will be Elected. Good time for it with the
totally.
election coming up here. One of those songs that peaked at number 26 on the Billboard charts there. 1972, Billion Dollar Babies. That's a great song, one of his best. Just didn't quite make the top 10 cut, but definitely had to mention it because it's definitely one of his best songs for sure. My next one would be I'm 18. Um, that's an old golden oldie there. We're going all the way back to 1970.
Right.
Uh, Peaked at number 21 off of Love It to Death. Just another great song that's always, withstood the test of time. He still plays this one all the time. It's played on the radio everywhere. You can't go wrong with that song. And my final honorable mention was going back to an album you mentioned already, 1971's Killer. This song peaked at number 49, so it just didn't quite make the top 40, but you can guess it's none other than Be My Lover.
There you go.
So
Love
those are
it.
my top three honorable mentions. It just didn't quite make the cut. And did any of those surprise you at all?
Um, no, I don't think surprised me. Be My Lover, I thought might be a little higher, but yeah. Um, no, didn't really surprise me. But that's in a good way though. I think well, Elected, I thought maybe you would think is too tongue and cheeky, but Elected is while re-listening to I made sure that I re-listened to the hits over and over to make sure that I really wasn't not including anything because this list for me was about from the time I was a kid to now, what songs still strike me as close as back then as they do now.
Right.
So for me, I was shocked at this list. I think you might be shocked at some stuff. I did about 4 or 5 drafts, and sometimes there was like 4 albums from trash, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, and so I'm playing some of these songs, and Elected is a song that I was like, wow, this is such a great song. And you don't see him play it a lot because he only plays it around election time like he is now. So that one surprised me. But yeah,
All right, let's go. We'll do them two at a time. So give me your number 10, and then you can go right into your number 9 when you're done with that.
sounds good. All right. So my number 10 is going to be the mass hit that really I feel if it wasn't for this song, he would not be where he is today, is Poison. Um, Again, I know you were gonna roll your eyes. Again, that was another song where I'm like, yeah, but then I thought about it, I'm like, well, every single time I see him and that riff starts, I get, emotional. It's like that song is like another one like Snakebite, where that guitar riff is like, wow, like that's
Hmm.
incredible. And that riff and the big chorus, and it sort of um puts all together like what his late 80s and early 90s career was. And again, just great video, sounded great live. And it still does. Very, very, very catchy. And again, I have to put that song in there, at least at the bottom here, to give it mass credit for keeping him alive because there was nothing crazy before. And besides Feed My Frankenstein, there was nothing really crazy after for a long time. Like Poison was the last song that put him in the huge spotlight like that. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know if we'd still have Alice Cooper here as we know it. Not playing stadiums and shit. No way.
All right, what do you got for your number nine?
And then number nine, I have, and again, another 90s thing, but little by little from Hey Stupid, for some reason I can never get that out of my head. I thought I was sick of it for a while, and every time I listen to it again, it brings me right back to where I was when I was a kid. I feel that song is one of about 10 or 15 on albums that are one style that really sort of has a different feel to it. And I think that's why it resonates so much with me when I re-listen to the record. So little by little.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Little by Little?
No.
Okay, great song.
I got the
Now,
album, but I'm not, there's a lot of songs I'm not really too familiar with on some of those 80s or 90s albums.
okay. Well, after this, I think you're gonna start agreeing with me more, and you'll see why a lot of these are on my list.
But my number 10 is actually coming from an album from the 80s here, and we're going back to Trash. And it's going to be the one that features the vocal talents of none other than Steven Tyler, along with Alice. And of course, that's going to be Only My Heart Talking.
Oh, wow,
Number
that's surprising.
89. Yeah, number 89 on the charts it hit. Came out in 1989. Yeah, I don't know. That song is always I didn't really know it much when it first came out, but then later on I heard, oh, Tyler did a song with Cooper, and and that's when I started getting into it. So yeah, definitely a very good song. It helps, I think that was one of the other songs that got airplay from that album, obviously after
Sure,
Poison.
sure.
So, that's what my number 10 is, and my number nine, gonna dig deep back to 1980.
Oh,
Flush the Fashion, and that's gonna be none other than Pain.
oh, wow. I thought you were gonna say Clones. Pain. Wow.
Pain, yeah, Pain. What a great song.
Yeah, I see.
Um,
I got to see him play that one live once in Pittsburgh, but very cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those gems where, you're not going to hear it on the radio. This is something they just don't play. I love that's the fact, you dig into these albums, deep dive into these albums, you're going to come up with some gems.
Yeah,
And
totally.
and that's one of them right there.
Yeah,
So that's what I got for my number nine, Pain from Flush to Fashion.
very nice. All right, am I going on with my number
Yep.
eight? All right, my number eight is none other than Be My Lover, which we already sort of talked about here, written solely by Michael Bruce. What a great song, still holds up amazingly well. Sounded great. Another reason I love Alice is you can listen to live records, bootlegs or not. I mean, he has enough live records actually out there now that every single time it's a different version of the song. And in the 80s and in the 90s, these songs sounded insanely different. And Be My Lover is one that works in every era. Well, it works faster, it works slower. Just love the vibe of the lyrics. It's so you could sing along to it. It's bright and full. What a great song. But yeah, Be My Lover is my number eight, is another one of your favorite trash gems with and again, it's not a gem because this song was pretty big, and House of Fire. Um, love that song, huge chorus again. Big, big 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 props again to the video, which is very close to the Poison video, and him playing it on the American Music Awards. Just a great song. And if nobody has seen his performance of House of Fire on the American Music Awards, he was sick, very sick, and didn't want to do it. And his voice is extremely hoarse. And watching him do that and be able to pull that song off before people were lip syncing these things was incredible. So go check that out, House of Fire from the American Music Awards in 90. Yeah, 90. And yeah, what a great song. That was my seven,
Yeah, what was your eighth was
was Be My Lover.
Be My Lover, and that's number seven. Okay.
Yep, correct. Yep. Sorry, I'm still getting used to doing them in two at a time with there.
Yep. All right, so my number eight is going to be going back to the year 1994 for a song called Stolen Prayer featuring Chris Cornell
Whoa.
on vocals along with Alice there. And this is yeah, definitely goes back to the Last Temptation. What do you think about that pick?
I'm very, very shy. You're going deeper than me today, I think. Yeah, honestly, Stolen Prayer is not one of my, I'm a big Alice ballad guy for not being a ballad guy. But Stolen Prayer is a very interesting song, I'll say that. Say
Definitely.
that.
It's a great song though. Definitely
It is.
one of the highlights of the Cooper catalog for sure.
I seen him on that tour, which is surprise. That was the first time I seen him, which is surprising because the tour I seen him on was in '97 and the album came out in '94. So it wasn't exactly the Last Temptation tour, but that's what they were touring on. They opened with Sideshow. So very interesting to see Stolen Prayer because that is the song that's probably the most talked about on that record besides Lost in America because he plays it to death.
All right, so that's my number eight, and we're gonna go back, dig deep again. Well, maybe not so deep with the song, but when they on the album, we're gonna go dig back to 1977, and we're gonna go some Lace and Whiskey,
Wow.
and we're pulling out a song that reached number nine on the charts. You and Me.
Whoa. Going ballad heavy. You and Me's a great song.
Oh, this is a phenomenal song.
Very good song.
Yep,
Yeah.
I was definitely blown away by it. Wasn't too familiar with it until recently. But man, I go, where the hell have I been? This is a great song. I don't know how often he plays it much anymore, if at all live. But
No, not really.
considering it was a top 10 hit, you figured he would play it a little bit once in a while.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
actually, that song hasn't been played in decades. You're talking you and me, that song, you and me hasn't been played in I've never seen it. And I've been seeing them for 30 years. I've never seen it. And it is on the Alice Cooper show, if I'm not mistaken, which is one of the best live records of all time from a very weird era of Alice, but it rips. And You and Me is a very interesting pick. I figured there'd be some ballads on here, but the ones you're picking are really solid songs. So yeah.
all right, so that's my number seven. What do you got for number six for us here?
So for number six, and this might come as a shock to you, is Billion Dollar Babies. Another record I got very early on vinyl before ever owning it on CD or cassette from my uncle and dad, and just amazing. Anytime I would do good in school after those initial two, my uncle would give me another Cooper record or Kiss record. So Billion Dollar Babies, that riff, and again, when you listen to these albums and you're used to hearing stuff like Aerosmith and Kiss and radio stuff, and then you put something like this on, and a song like Billion Dollar Babies comes on. It doesn't seem so now, but it that must have shocked people in the 70s with riffs and stuff like that. I mean, to go to the mainstream with material like that, I think we take for granted. That song goes in a lot of different directions. Obviously, a huge highlight of the show. Interestingly enough, he dropped that song on a couple of the Rob Zombie dates this summer, to my knowledge. And I think he was replacing that with either Be My Lover or Under My Wheels. He's rotating it. And to leave that out of a show would really depress me, I think. I've seen it every time I've seen him. I've seen other bands do that song, and I still would not be happy if it wasn't played. I just know that. Especially with the dollar bill thing, which I have 50 of in my room and all that stuff that he does. He tries to keep it fresh every time, and what a great song. But yeah, so Billion Dollar Babies. So my number five is off of Welcome to My Nightmare. Probably the best concept record of all time, done by Bob Ezrin. and that would be Department of Youth. Uh, just again, another song that seen it about 3 or 4 times, love it every time, and it's another song that just sort of shocked me as a kid, where I was like, "What the hell am I listening to?" And at then the end with the chant thing, his that record specifically, as far as listening to it as a kid, um, was so dynamic. I mean, just the orchestra and the sounds, and it wasn't like Floyd, and it wasn't like Zeppelin, and it wasn't like Aerosmith or Kiss. It was this whole orchestra that was literally a movie come to life. And most of these songs that they all play a huge role in that and why they're on this list. And Department of Youth was basically him telling the mainstream, like, screw off, I'm here. Like that Donny Osmond, like fuck him. I'm Alice Cooper. And that it's to me that made me realize like this is the guy to beat. And he's never been beaten. So Department of Youth, huge, huge role in my Alice fandom. I heard that song very, very early.
All right.
Yep. That's that.
All right. Very good. So, going back to my number six, we're gonna dig really deep, so deep that this song doesn't even appear on one of his albums.
Wow.
Yeah, but it is on the box set, and that is going to be coming from a movie
Whoa.
called Sextet,
I
which
knew.
was the last Mae West movie she ever did before
Yeah.
she retired, passed away, whatever. And that's going to be the No Time for Tears.
Wow.
Phenomenal song. Another one that just hides, obviously. A lot of people might not even be familiar with it because it only appeared on the box set.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not like they played it on the radio.
No, it was it's on a couple Alice put out a couple weird
Compilations.
compilation records, especially out of the UK where that song appeared on it. But yeah, the box that's definitely the first time I heard that song. So shocked to hear. That's the most shocking one, unless you're gonna top it. But that's the most shocking one in this whole list.
But just a great song, though. I really, really was, obviously, I mean, it made all the way up to number six here. So
Yeah, that's
definitely,
awesome.
you're probably expecting me to just go through the top 10 Alice Cooper songs from his greatest hits album. You probably figured.
Not to that extent, but I did honestly, there's more hits in mine so far than yours,
I
which is
know.
surprising. But again, I couldn't, my first two drafts were doing that, like going all under. Like with you, I
Mhm.
know you're not a diehard, so you're picking your favorites. For me, it was like, I was like, I'm really going diehard here, but which ones am I not listening to that often? Is the rare ones that I know that are better and that I love more. So that's how I sort of came up with this, and it's very
Yeah.
interesting yours because yes, I did not expect that.
Probably the ones that stood the test of time better. There's a lot of when you
Yeah,
get to your favorite band, there's some songs you just are sick of hearing or just don't want to hear again or whatever the case may
yeah,
be. And in this case, the ones that stick out more and you're still into, there they are. They're going to be in your top 10.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, you've been listening to him probably longer, but I've been listening to him daily to weekly to monthly for 30 years.
Yeah.
So it's, you know what I mean? He's
Yep.
always in constant rotation, always.
All right. So now that was number six. So now my number five, we're going to go back to the last temptation once again
Wow.
for a second time. And that's going to be for It's Me.
Oh, yep. I can see that now. It's Me's a good song.
Yeah. It
Um,
didn't chart or anything, but it's definitely a great song. And I put it up against all these other songs and it just is there. The four songs above it though are definitely songs that are definitely just better than it. But
right.
when you see what they are, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but to hit number five on a song, from the Last Temptation, come on, I mean, not too many people go back to that album too often. But that's a good album, very underrated in my estimation.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is. Not my all-time favorite. It took me a little while to really get into it. Lost in America, I always loved. And then like Sideshow and Nothing's Free. I mean, yeah, Last Temptation is a great record. And to hit on the ballad into your the ballad thing to your point with the song is like I said, I've never been a ballad guy, but he has a ballad or two on every record for the most part. And when you're listening to a dynamic album like that that tells a story, which even in his non-concept albums, they're stories, those songs always serve an extreme purpose. They're never put out of order on the record where they should be. He knows exactly what he's doing with it. So the ballads are basically leaving a buffer in between the harder hitting stuff and the old school style stuff to really lend to a dynamic to the listening experience. So songs like You and Me and stuff are and It's Me are insanely become insanely meaningful for me on an Alice listen. So I'm glad they're in your list because they're not in mine, but I'm glad they're in yours.
All right, we got four songs each left. Let's roll up with number four for you. What do you got?
All right. Number four, I have an album or a song off a very weird era, an album of Alice's career, and that's off of Dada. And that song is called Scarlet and Sheba. Um, Always thought it should be played live. Just really sludgy and heavy and a lot of different instruments and dynamics going on in that song by itself. So Scarlet and Sheba, I'm not sure if you heard it. Have you heard of that song? Because it's not on the
No,
box set or anything. Yeah, definitely a song to check out. Definitely a song for anyone else to check out. It is by no means necessary a known song in his catalog by even like fans, but the diehards all rally. Honestly, I've the diehards don't really rally around this song like they do some, like Snakebite and stuff. Like there were songs in under Bed of Nails, and there were songs that the fans really rallied behind in the behind the scenes. But Scarlet and Sheba is always overlooked, and what a great song, Dada. So or off the album Dada. So yep, that's that for me, and that brings me to my number
three,
four, right?
three.
No, three, which is again off of Welcome to My Nightmare, a song that really helped me escape when I was a kid, and that's Escape, the underlooked song that I got to see three times on this last tour. That I was just so excited for. Never heard it live. Thought I would never be able to hear it live because about 5, 6 years ago they tried it and it was a train wreck. All three times they played it, it just sounded and it wasn't like oh we screwed it up. Like the arrangement was not there, and they came back and tried it again for these last couple tours from 2019 on, and just a brilliant song, great way to outro the record, more or less, and a great way to just honestly just put your headphones on and close your eyes and listen to that and not think about anything else, and you're legitimately escaping. So, very great song. Are you familiar with that one?
Nope.
No, you should. It's on Welcome to My Nightmare. You should definitely check that one out. But again, great song. Does
All
that
right.
bring me to my number two?
Well, I got to give him my four and
Oh
three
yeah,
now.
yours. That's
Yep.
right.
All right. So my number four is the very first Alice Cooper song I ever heard, the very first Alice Cooper song I ever liked, and the first time I ever heard it was on a school bus. None other than School's Out Forever.
Right.
Nothing
Well,
like hearing that song when you were a 12-year-old punk kid. You know what
that
I
is
mean?
correct. It doesn't matter what era you were in.
Yeah, exactly.
It rings true everywhere,
Exactly.
ever for every
That
kid.
is a classic song. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever has written such a perfect song
So
about school and hating it and glad that it's over with and done. It's just amazing.
you could be homeschooled and that song would mean something to you. You know what I mean? Like that song definitely defines the end of an era. It defines the end of a long day at work. It defines a long day at school. I mean, it transcends kid. It goes beyond being a kid. School's out is just sort of a phrase now. So yeah, and I did not know the first time you heard that was on a school bus. You may or may not have told me a decade ago, but I don't.
So it did reach number seven. So it got it. It definitely got its airplay. It's definitely probably one of his most well-known songs throughout his whole career for sure.
And the album cover too. I mean, how
Hmm.
iconic is that with the desk?
Yep. So that's what my number four is. And number three, this song everybody knows. Going back to Billion Dollar Babies album. This song hit number 25, and of course, it's none other than No More Mr. Nice Guy. Just
Yeah.
another classic Cooper song. I mean, it's a song that you can hear 1,000 times and never get sick of it. Just a great song. I still love it to this day.
Yeah.
It barely beats Schools Out by a smidge, but it's just a smidge better than it. That's all.
Yeah, I absolutely love the song, but it is one of the very few Alice songs that has gotten boring to me. Live on record. However, there was an Alice Cooper tribute album put out in, I want to say 97, 98, called Humanitary Stew. Are you familiar with this? It was one of
No.
those tribute albums where like it's, Dio and oh, who else is that? But anyways, Roger Daltrey sings No More Mr. Nice Guy. And it is
Hmm.
an amazing breath of fresh air. The cadence has changed a little bit. The melodies are changed a little bit. The guitar playing is much more crisp. I highly recommend you go on YouTube after this conversation, you and anyone else watching, and go and look up No More Mr. Nice Guy by Roger Daltrey, and then go into the wormhole of that record because there are some Vince Neil does Cold Ethel. There are some great, great, great songs on that tribute album that a lot of people haven't heard. So check that out if anyone gets a chance. But yeah, sorry for my rant.
All right, so that's number four, School's Out. Number three, No More Mr. Nice Guy. And we're giving you two songs each left. You give us your number two there.
All right, so number two for me is a song that I think has one of the best choruses of all time. It's also pretty opposite from the its predecessor in my list, which is Escape. But Ballad of Dwight Fry is to me one of the scariest and most melodic songs I've heard, probably period, between the ages of 0 and 15. And then once I started discovering other stuff jumped out at me just as hard as this. But Ballad of Dwight Fry, this is the first one where I fell in love with melodic music of any nature immediately that day. And then you throw in the whole horror aspect of it with, with the straight jacket, and it's a calm every time he brought it back now, but for the first leg of this tour he took it out. And he didn't play it on the last couple legs. The last tour that I seen, the last three shows, it wasn't played. Really, really stunk that when you watch the show and it doesn't come up. But Ballad of Dwight Fry is an amazing song. Not always played most of the time, and just a banger. Very, 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 very odd, scary, and melodic at the same time, which pretty much sums up Alice Cooper. So that would be my number two.
All right,
And then number
let's
one,
get a drum roll. Number one. Man, I
my
have no idea where you're going to go with this one.
oh really? I don't think you're gonna like it either, but Bed of Nails from Trash is my number one Alice Cooper song.
Wow, I figured it'd be something different. Yeah.
Yeah, see the weird thing is I could take songs that aren't on this list and put them like in the top 10 somewhere, maybe even number one, two, or three. It really depends on my day and my mood and my year and what I'm looking at that point. Because honestly, Alice Cooper is my safe space, more so than Kiss, because they put all their bullshit out there and they taint it. Alice Cooper to me, he's the only artist that I've listened to for my life that hasn't fucked up yet. Not once. He plays 200 shows a year plus. He's got the Hollywood Vampires. He's constantly putting out new records. So any song can go there. But Bed of Nails, again, the 80s and 90s, when I was a kid and still very, very green to the world and
Hmm.
green to music, that song, you know, really lifted me, and then everything else that came after it. For some reason, Bed of Nails was just the one that really hit me, and I think the reason why is the Trash is the World VHS that I would go and get from Blockbuster every 2 weeks because I couldn't find it to buy it in the stores was just incredible. If you've never seen Trash is the World, I'm sure a lot of you have. watch it. I'm sure it's online. I think it's on some streaming. You can get it on
Yeah.
DVD.
All
Yeah.
right. So number two and number one. Interesting choices. Like I said, I didn't know where you were going to go for your final two.
Did
You
you
could have,
have did
you
you
could,
have any guesses?
no, I was thinking it was going to be more. Well, I mean, Battle to Dwight Fry is good. I actually it almost made my honorable mentions. That was very close to making it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was definitely on my list of when you first picked out the songs that you knew that you wanted to kind of whittle it down. It was on the list. So
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
a great song. It just wasn't quite good enough at this point in time, but I
Gotcha.
like it a lot. So don't get me wrong there.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, but I do like for my number two, I'm gonna go to Hell. Alice Cooper
Oh,
Goes to Hell. The
yeah.
song reached number 12 way back in 1976, and you probably know it. It's called I Never Cry.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you probably never you definitely never seen that song as far as I know. I seen it once on the Theater of Death tour twice. Seen it in Pittsburgh and I seen it at Art Park on the Rob Zombie tour, but great song. Another great ballad. Another great ballad.
All right, and so that's what my number two is. And I don't know if you know what number one is. If you took a shot in the dark, you probably still wouldn't be right.
Really? Is it
No,
is it is it Feed My Frankenstein? No way, right?
no.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to go back to Welcome to My Nightmare 1975. And this song also hit number 12. Well, that's kind of a coincidence. And that's going to be none other than Only Women Bleed, the
Wow.
classicest classic of Alice Cooper song there is. Seen it live 4 times. Great song. Just love it to death.
I did not see that in your top 10 for some reason.
Really?
I guess I seen it in your top 10, but I forgot going up to this point, and I wouldn't have guessed it as the number one. I like Only Woman Bleed. I to me it's way under his other ballads, but I understand why people love that song. And he does play it often, but there's been a few times I haven't seen him play it, as I'm sure same goes for you too. So,
I've seen it every time because I've only seen him
wow.
4 times.
Yeah, yeah.
And who else did a good cover of it?
Oh, um, it's on the tip of my tongue. Who?
Lita Ford.
Lita Ford. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, 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 yeah. I knew it was a woman. Yeah, Lita Ford. Yeah, very cool.
Yep. So that rounds out our top 10 Alice Cooper songs. So I'm betting you there's a lot of people out there probably shocked at both of our lists because of, you know, a lot of songs these people probably aren't going to be all familiar with.
Well, that's a good thing. Go and
For a
check it
casual
out.
fan, right? Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
think, especially on some of your stuff too, because you picked a lot of stuff that didn't get a lot of airplay in the 80s. There's a couple songs there I'm gonna have to go dig back and deep pull up and
And
give it a listen.
honestly, I could have went a lot deeper if I really wanted to be like that, but I really wanted to be authentic here and do this right. And that's why there's some songs in there that I like Billion Dollar Babies and stuff that I could have replaced with 100 different songs off the bat. But it's just I think about it. If that song wasn't played live, would I be pissed? Honestly, if Schools Out wasn't played, if No More Mr. Nice Guy wasn't played, I wouldn't be mad. I really wouldn't be mad. But and again, I really want to hear people's lists here. So we normally don't really go out and say like make a big deal about people posting their lists, but with Alice, I really interested because the catalog is so huge. And I don't care if it's Schools Out, Nice Guy, Billion Dollar. I'm really interested to see where these songs fall in line with each other in succession. So definitely post your list for us to read. I'm really interested to see those.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. I mean, just to give a couple quick shout outs to a few songs that didn't make either of our lists. You got
Yeah.
Under My Wheels,
That was very, very close to be. See,
Muscle of Love.
yeah, great song. See, some of these songs weren't even in my honorable mentions that I would put in the list, So it's
Uh,
interesting
How You
that
Gonna See Me
well,
Now, another top 12 hit.
yeah,
Um, yeah, there's a lot of stuff on here. He's Back, The Man Behind the Mask.
yeah, Another good one, obviously, another
Hey,
big song.
stupid.
Yeah, yeah, I
I mean,
love
there's a lot of songs on here that got airplay and stuff that people, no, just didn't, you ain't
and
got room. We ain't got
what's
room for everything.
what's interesting too is if we ever do the album, if we ever organize the albums by our favorites, it's going to be very interesting because when you talk about albums as a whole, I
Hmm.
don't care what songs are on it. My number one can be on it. That it could still be my least favorite record. Like
Right.
it's that's what's great about this catalog. And you're gonna need like 10 years, so you better start now. Because there's probably a lot. I mean, I can't unless you started listening to Alice, unless you've been listening to Alice for decades, it's hard to listen to all of his records. How would you do that? You know what I mean? If you're not a diehard and listening to him all the time, how would you be able to hear all these songs? So it is a job to be able to go through this catalog.
Yeah, it's hard to believe he's only had six platinum albums out the whole time of his
Yeah,
career. That's
that is.
amazing.
And he's just look at him. It's not like he's playing clubs.
No, exactly.
So
Very interesting indeed.
when he finally kicks the bucket, the concert and touring industry is losing a diamond, a diamond in that industry because nobody does it like him. And even now, he's having his wife sing a little bit in the back when she's not on stage performing with him, sort of like what King Diamond's been doing. And
Hmm.
his band, God bless him, have been just, he has the tightest band he's ever had. Not my favorite, but the tightest band he's ever had by far, definitely the best. And just amazing prose and their singing helps too. And this guy will be doing it until he's done. I think in the next 5, 10 years, or in the next 5 years, we're gonna see him scale back a lot. We're not going to see all the Hollywood vampire shows. We're not going to see 5 tours a year. It's not going to have 5 legs a year. It's not going to happen. So get out there, see Alice, spend the money. It's not expensive as your favorite band. I promise you that. It's unless you're going to see him with other bands. So for anyone who hasn't seen Alice, go see him. And if you've seen him before and dug him, which I'm sure you did, go see him again before it's too late because we're going to lose a legend when that happens.
All right, very good. Well, we did this in honor of Halloween. That's why we picked Alice Cooper for this month of October. So we'll be doing another artist next month.
Yeah.
But yep, we'll keep everybody posted. Make sure you guys give us your take on your songs. What songs you feel very enamored with by Alice Cooper. There's definitely been, he's got a little something for everybody in his catalog. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So, other than that, it was great talking Alice with you. And
Amazing. Great time. And happy Halloween, everybody. Have a great and safe Halloween and listen to some Alice for the holiday. Watch some of the movies. Watch Monster Dog if you haven't seen it. Um, watch Rhodey. Watch the Friday the 13th part. Which one does he play Freddy's father? Six. And yeah, have a blast.
okay. All right, signing off.
See ya.